I am a PhD student in IT. I did, from when I finished Leaving Cert, I did a 4-year course in Athlone. It was computer and software engineering. First year of that course, it had a kind of a hardware focus, but then from there it went mainly into software engineering. From there I did a master's in Galway. I did a digital media master's in Galway, which kind of gave me a look at kind of more kind of the creative aspects of things, and creative design, design and websites and things like that. Then from there I worked for a year for a television production company doing web design for them and designing various web apps. While I was doing that year, I applied for funding to do a PhD. I was successful with the funding, and I'm back there now for the last 4 years doing a PhD. My full-time job is basically research for my PhD, so basically I'm researching the topic that I'm working on, which is artificial intelligence, really. What would take me away from that is I do various lectures in the IT department, or I also do tutorials as well. So tutorials would basically be second and third year students who I work with. They would have their own problems to solve, and they'd be doing that in the computer lab, and I would just wandering around the computer lab and be there to answer their questions for them. But other than that, it's basically my research that I'm doing, so I'll be working on research. Skills, problem solving, I'd say. Problem solving would be the primary skill you need. If you're a good problem solver, maths, a good level of maths is obviously helpful, but I don't think you need maths I don't think you need maths to be able to think logically. So I think being able to think logically and be able to solve problems is kind of probably the two main skills that you need. Also, in terms of lecturing and tutorials, I think you need to be personable, good communication skills as well. Personal qualities, in terms of lecturing and tutorials, I suppose, good communication skills. Communication skills, being personable, that's really, in terms of personal qualities, what you need. You want to be able to kind of, communicate, be able to teach the students. You want to be able to have good communication skills with them and be able to identify with them. I like dealing with people. I like the aspects of the research that are where I have to solve a problem that kind of hasn't been solved before in a kind of unique way. That's what the PhD involves. It involves putting a different spin on basically giving a contribution to research, but in a way that no one has ever done before. It doesn't have to be groundbreaking, but it has to be a novel architecture that I'm building. So I kind of like when I'm kind of creating something new or something different. I also like the parts, I also like when I'm tutorials as well and lectures and that. I like kind of dealing with people. So where the research part of the thing, you might be kind of working on your own for a long period of time. I like that for different reasons, as I mentioned, but I like when you have to do lectures. It gets you away from that and it gets you dealing with people. I like that. Challenging aspects. Well, when I started the PhD, what I found most challenging was being able to come up with original ideas. I always found that I'd come up with something and I'd think it was groundbreaking or whatever, and then you'd read on, you'd find that someone else is doing it, or you'd be working on something and you'd be working on it for a couple of weeks, and then you come along, you find someone else is doing the exact same thing as you. That's not what you want in what do you call it, when you're doing a PhD and you want to make an original contribution to research. But as my supervisor always says, it's not always the worst thing when you find someone. You can always work off what they're doing. Also challenging, I like the lecturing and dealing with people because I find it challenging as well. I like when sometimes you might have classes that wouldn't like to interact with you, so I find it challenging sometimes as well to be able to kind of open up a lecture and kind of turn it into more of a discussion as opposed to just me talking at a class. So sometimes, depending on the class, it can be challenging to get them to do that.